Hello again. I'm going to introduce chapter 9 to you today. So this chapter is about chemical bonds. So this is what we think of when we think about a chemical reaction. We think, how are elements combining together? And that's called chemical bonding. So let's move down through this chapter together. So opening essay, you're going to use Lewis dot structures to represent those electrons that we talked about in the last chapter. We're going to show them as dots, and we're just going to be looking at the electrons on the outermost shell of the atom, and those are called the valence electrons. So we're going to talk about those, and we're going to show how to draw them, the valence electrons, and we're going to talk about how those valence electrons affect the reactivity of elements. So this is really important. So make sure you can draw elements with their dots. So try those, test yourself out, see if you can do it. And we'll be using that from now on to show bonding, and you'll use it throughout your chemistry lifetime when you're in chemistry classes. So this is important. We're going to talk about covalent bonding and ionic bonding. So we need to know the difference. Ionic is where electrons are being moved from one element to another. They actually physically move and jump onto some other element. That's an electron transfer, so that's an ionic bond. So read through that. Understand the octet rule, very important. Most elements follow that octet rule when they bond. So this drawing, these types of drawings are what we need to be able to draw ourselves. So understand this part. And that movement has energy associated with it, so that's called the lattice energy. And here's some practice problems, so try those out so you get the idea. The next one the other bond we're going to talk about is covalent bonding, and this is where electrons are shared between two or more elements, and the electrons are shared between two or more elements together. So covalent is sharing, and we're going to show it like this, where we have an overlap of two electron shells from two atoms, and then they're bonding together, and they both feel like they are having all of those electrons in a shared cloud of electrons. And so there's single bonding, there's double bonding, triple bonding, and we have to be able to draw this situation. So practice those, they're very important. And it's going to give you examples of how to do it. So this is important. So follow through this and then try it yourself. And there's single bonding, there's double bonding and triple bonding. This is showing 6 electrons shared between these nitrogens. We can draw it like this with Lewis dots, or we can draw it with lines like that. There's a real life example there. Here's some more examples, so try those, see if you know what you're doing there. And then it's going to talk about bonding and some other things about covalent bonding. And this will be also a very important topic, this polarity of bonding. So focus on that electronegativity, understand this polar covalent bonding, understand how to use the sigma positive, sigma negative to show polarity of a bond. We're going to use electronegativity, so here's a chart of electronegativities, so we'll be using that. You never have to memorize these, but we'll be using them to figure out how bonds are, what's happening in a bond. And there's energy associated with bonding, so here's some energies. When you have a double nitrogen double bond, it has this much energy associated with that double bond. So that's what these numbers are related to. So we can explore the energies in bonding. Sometimes elements will violate that octet rule. Some molecules will have odd numbers of electrons. It's really rare, but we'll talk about some violations of the octet rule. And we'll talk about expanded valence shell molecules. Some things violate the rule and are allowed to have more electrons than normal in them. So look at that and try some out. And then the last topic is shapes. And this is, some people have trouble with shapes because you have to think in 3 dimensions in your mind. And so we're going to use this theory called Vesper. So this might be something you need to take some extra time on to figure out the shapes of things. And we'll explore this more when we talk together, but this is something really you need to really read through and understand the shapes of different molecules and try those yourself. This chart is important, and I'll try to give you some more information to make it more clear for you. And then here is your homework for chapter 9. So remember, you're going to do homework here, and you're going to have the answers for the odds at the end of this. So good luck with chapter 9. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.